Alright folks, so in this session we'll continue learning Excel and we'll take up the advanced functions of Excel like VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, transpose and maybe in the next part of the same lecture we'll take up pivot tables followed by match index function and macros. So we look at VLOOKUP to start with and we'll slowly will graduate to the more advanced concepts.
I'll just quickly walk you through the syntax again. So VLOOKUP is, first we write the lookup value. What do we want to look up for? Second is the table array. What is the array where we want to look up for that item? Third is the column index num. This is basically the column number which we want to return. Now this is the entire range that we have selected, right? Suppose we want to see how much did books cost. How much did books cost? So in that case, the column index num would be 2 because this is the range, this is the first column, and this is the second column. So I want to return the amount. So the column index num will be 2. And then there's an optional field that is range lookup. This is basically if you want to return an approximate or an exact match. We'll leave that for now. So as you can see, it has returned 125 because we were looking for the amount corresponding to books. Instead of C5, I can simply write books here as well. That will also work. Suppose I simply want to see how much did books cost, and that is 125. Now this is a very small database and you might not be able to realize the power of this function. So let's go to this more complicated database. Suppose I want to, let's see, I have not thought of an example beforehand, so I'll just quickly, let's think together. So suppose I want to get the description, what does cred do, right? Or let's say, let's get the funding amount or something. There's this funded amount, latest funded amount. Suppose I want to get the latest funded amount for the company cred. Now, can you see cred in this? Okay, cred is very, we can easily see cred. Let's take any random company. Let's take Setu, or let's take, let's take ID5, this. So I want to see what is the funded amount, latest funded amount for ID5. So latest funded amount, the column number. So if I select all this, the column number will be 11. So if you see, if I select this is the first column number. So whatever range we are defining, right? The column number starts from 1. So this is not like coding. The numbering does not start from 0 here. Starts from 1. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is the latest funded amount is basically the 11th column. Why do we need to know that? Because in our formula, there's a field called latest funded amount. And we'll select this as the entire range that we are looking up in, right? So let's write the formula now. The formula is VLOOKUP. We are vertically looking up. So full form of VLOOKUP is vertical lookup. We are vertically looking up for the, which company did we target? I think it was Setu. So we are looking up for the funded amount of Setu. And then what's the table array? This entire thing is the table array. Or let's say, let's take the entire table as the array. We already know that we are looking up in the 11th column. So that is the only thing that we need to know. So we have defined the table array. Then we define the column index num. So what is the column index num? It is 11, as we've already identified. And suppose we want an exact match. We don't want an approximate match. We want an exact match. So false is what we will write here. We'll select this. It has, so we've written false here. Then we find it. So this tells me the latest funded amount for Setu is 15 million. I think now you can realize the power of this function. Is everyone with me?
Hello, sir. If the word Setu occurs more than once in the list, then what will occur?
Then it will return the first instance. This is a good question. So if in the list, the word that we are looking up for if that occurs more than once, then it will return the first instance. Let's try that out, right? This is a good example. So let's say there's a second entry for the same thing for Setu, and let's say the second time it was funded for 150 million. This is a huge funding amount, but yeah, let's assume it that way. And let's change the type to number again. So it is the same type, right? We don't need all of this. Now let's change the range where we are looking up for. Let's change it to, let's add the new number also now, right? Now, if you see, it has still returned 15 million only. It has not returned 150 million. So basically, it is returning only the first instance, wherever it was found first. It is starting horizontally. It starts from the top and goes down, and whatever comes whatever's the value that comes for the first time, it will return that. I think this answers your question. Right. This was vertical lookup. Let's talk about horizontal lookup. Now, when I talk about vertical lookup, I'm looking up vertically. So basically, I move from top to down. I go in a horizontal direction. I identify the word books here, right? This example had the word books. So I go from top to down in a horizontal fashion, and I look up for that value and return it in a separate column. I return the value that is present in a separate column. So what I mean to say is that this is returning the amount that was spent on books, and amount is a separate column. This is vertical lookup. But if I talk about HLOOKUP, then it will return the horizontal. It will basically look up in a horizontal fashion. Let me tell you what I mean. I'll first transpose this table so that whatever we do makes sense here. So, all right. Let's just ignore this for a bit. Let's ignore this, this thing. Yeah. So basically, let's say this was our table, right? Now we want to look up how much did tickets cost, and tickets is occurring only once. So how much did tickets cost? So let's write the formula for HLOOKUP. It is very, very same. It is exactly similar. So the lookup value that we want is tickets. And what is the table array? This is the table array. What is the row index num? Now here we'll have the row index num instead of column index number. We'll have the row index number here. What is the row index number? It is 2, because first one is this and second one is this. So the row index number is 2. And we want an approximate match, let's say, or we want an exact match. So 1 means approximate match, and 0 means exact match. So we'll write 1 here. And see, the value is 125. It is tickets. So it is the amount for tickets. I think you can understand now the use of HLOOKUP. If I use music here, then I'll get the amount for music. What if I drag this to the right? Okay, this will not work. Yes. All right. I think you guys can now understand what is HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP. Very useful functions. All right. Let's move to the next function. If there are any questions here, please let me know. So I've told you the syntax for both of these. We look up first as the lookup value. What do you want to look up for? Then we have the table array. What is the table array that we are looking up in, where you want to look for it? And then we have the column index num, or in case of HLOOKUP, we have the row index num. That is all. Then this is an optional field. I told you yesterday that wherever we have these square brackets, right, there's an optional field that is there. And it returns an approximate or exact match based on 1 or 0. So 1 means approximate match and 0 means exact match here. or you can write true or false. 1 means true and 0 means false. So that is HLOOKUP and VLOOKUP. Now let's move to transpose. Now transpose is another very useful function. Suppose there's a table and we want to transpose the table and we want to see the data in a different format. That is the scenario where we transpose a row into a column and vice versa. So I'll just again move to Excel. And transposing a table is one of the very common things that we do in Excel. So suppose I want to see this, suppose I want to see only this data in a horizontal form, in a horizontal format. So what I'll do is, there are two ways. So first one is I'll simply copy this, and when I'm pasting this, I'll paste the transpose. There's an option for this. So this is the option. This is paste transpose. So if you see, it is pasting the transpose of this. So that is one way to do it. Another way to do it, and this is using a formula. So there's a particular formula that is there for transpose. We write, so what we do is, now this is, using this formula is not very straightforward. It's a bit complicated. So what we do is we select this and we see what is the, so we have 16 rows. We have 16 cells in total, right? On the right side, you can see the count. You can also see the sum, the average. All of this information is visible to you for whatever data that you select. So the count is 16, which means this is the number of cells that we have selected. So these are 16 cells and there are two columns. So when I transpose it, it will appear in this form. These are again, so these are 16 cells. 4 and 4, yeah, these are 16 cells. So this is the format that will be there after the transpose, that we'll see after the transpose. So select this and write the formula equal to transpose. And select the entire array that we want to transpose. So C1 to D8 is the array. Enter the, write the closed bracket, type the closed bracket. And now don't press enter. Here the trick is that you need to press Control Shift Enter. Then only will you see the entire array being transposed. Now you see the array is transposed here. So this is a bit different from the regular paste function. This is using a formula and you don't press enter after writing the formula, like in all the other formulas. Here you press Control plus Shift plus enter because you have more than one cells that will display some value. The formula will be applied to more than one cells. So that will only come after you press Control Shift Enter. So that is the case with transpose.
Sir, where
Now,
did you find transpose function?
Sorry?
Sir, where did you find transpose function while pasting?
So I simply wrote, so you are saying, where did I find transpose function?
Yeah.
So it comes here automatically, or you can simply write the entire spelling, right? So it's not there anywhere as such. You can simply write there. It is inbuilt within Excel. I think this is what you are asking, right? So this is the transpose function. Then there's the and or function. And or functions are again very similar to what you use in coding. You've all of you have studied logical and logical or. So that is this is very similar. So suppose we want the type of items which have an amount greater than 100, and let's say, okay, let's write this as we speak. So and the syntax for and is this. We define all the conditions by and separate them with a comma basically, and we write all the conditions within the bracket. So suppose we want this value, let's say. Suppose we want a particular value to be greater than 100. suppose we want this to be greater than, suppose we want to check whether this is greater than 100 or not. And we want to basically understand whether music costs me greater than, whether music costs me more than 100 rupees, or whether tickets cost me more than 150 rupees. If any of this is true, I mean, if both of this is true, then I want to return 1 or true. So you are noticing that it results in false, which means that um, music did not cost more than 100, and tickets also did not cost more than 150. So that is for and if you want to write an or formula, you can basically write it like this. It's a very, the syntax is exactly same. You can simply write whether, now let's take a different example. Suppose you want to see if fuel is costing less than 100, or if tickets is costing less than 100. Which one out of fuel and tickets is costing less than 100? If anyone is costing less than 100, it will return 1. If both cost less than 100, then also it will return 1. And in all other cases, it will return 0. So it is returning 1 here. So this is basically a very simple command, just like your and or in coding, or in your logical whatever languages you study. So that is and or. Let me take you to back to PowerPoint now. So this is, I've told you the transpose function. We select the entire range and press Control Shift Enter. And method 2 is we simply use the paste transposed button. Then we have the and or. This is the format. And advanced formula for like this is like a more real life use for and or. So or condition has this one, this is one condition. Then all of this is the second condition. And then this is the third condition. So no, so all of this is the second condition, and this is the second condition. So you can identify all of this. You can easily understand, and you can use these formulas in Excel and try out on your own. So this is and or, and they've used an if situation, if condition here. If this is true, then it will return no bonus. Otherwise, it will return this. So if all of this is true, then it will return this. Otherwise, it will return no bonus. So and the or has, this is one condition, and one is the second condition. So if this or thing is true, then it will return this. Otherwise, it will return no bonus. So that is and or. Before match and index, let's move to pivot tables, because this is, again, this is more important, and this is more interesting as well. So are there any questions till now?
सर जो आपने वी लुकअप में लास्ट में फॉल्स लिखा था वो कब आएगा?
False will be when you want an exact match. That will be the case with false. That will be the situation when you want to write false. So if you want an approximate match, you can write true in the end.
Okay, bhaiya. And in the HLOOKUP, you have written like 2 and 1 in the last two places.
Where? Sorry?
In the HLOOKUP, like the corresponding value of the second row would be printed. So
Yes.
when 1 will come?
So 1 will come if you just want to return tickets only.
Okay.
So if you just want to return the first, okay, let me display this. Let me show what I'm talking about. So the lookup value, let's say, is tickets. And table array is all of this. And the row index num is, so suppose you just want to display the first one only, which is again not useful to you. You just want to see what is the name of this item. in that case, you can return 1. It will simply return tickets. So because this was the entire range, and this was the first column, this was the second, this was the first row, and this was the second row.
I was asking, like, in this case also, if you have written like 1 and then comma 2, the second row value would be printed in case of approximation.
So you are okay. You are saying that I write 2 here, then I write 1. So 1 again
Yes.
means an approximate match here.
Oh, okay.
So in that case also, it will return the same thing, because approximate match is basically a subset. So approximate match is basically a superset. Whatever is an exact match is definitely an approximate match as well. So in
Okay,
case
sir.
of true as well as in case of false, it gives the same answer.
Okay, thanks.
Sir, in
Uh,
case of approximate match, can we manipulate the range in which it will look?
1 second. I'll just show you an example of approximate match. Let's say I'm finding ticket, right? But mentioned here I've mentioned tickets. So there's a difference in spelling. So if you notice, the word here is ticket, but I'm finding tickets. Now there's a difference. There's a difference in spelling, but still it has returned the correct value. Now that is approximate. That is the use of an approximate match. So here by default, it takes an approximate match. So if I write false here, which means I want an exact match, then it will return NA, which means that the formula isn't working. There's some error. There's some error. Either the value isn't found or there's some error in the formula. That is when NA is displayed. So in this case, the value isn't found in the range that we defined. So yeah, I think what was your second question? If
Sir,
is it
like if we search in case of number, like the main, the first column is amount, and we are searching for a amount. So it will look in which range? Can we manipulate that range in approximate match?
yes. So you're looking for let's say you're looking for an item that costs you 235. I think this is what you're talking about. Let's say you're looking for an item that costs you 235 rupee dollars, and this is the table array that you're looking for. Column index num is 1. Is this what you're talking about?
Yes, sir. In this case, if we set the approximate match.
So okay. So you're saying if there's 234, will it return that also? If there's
Yes, yes.
some difference.
What will be the range of the approximation?
Need to check. Again, I'm not very aware of this, but it's an interesting thing that you've brought up. Never thought of it that way. Let's see what happens. So if I talk about an approximate match, and if I write 234 here, I think this approximation is only in case of text. I'm not sure. So if you notice, I had written 235 here. I have written 235 here, but it has returned 234. So it takes an approximate match. If you want to see the range, let's change this to 230. Then again, it's taking an approximation till 230 also. So there has to be some range that is not very important for you to understand, but yes, there is some approximation that is there.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Any more questions?
Sir, what does 1 and 1 represent at the end of the function you have written?
So 1 here means that that the value that I'm returning is in the first column. Now let's say I want to find the cost of music.
But
So
this
I'll
is third
just
column, no, sir.
sorry.
But this is third column, no, sir.
No. No, it is the column number in the range that we have selected. So this is the range, right? We only have these two columns. This is the first column in the range, and this is the second column. So that is why we write 2 here and we close the bracket. It will return the cost of music, the cost of this item, the amount of this item.
Yes, sir.
Right, got it? And the final thing, the last argument here is optional. It is 1 or it is 0. So 1 is if we want to find an approximate match, and 2 is, sorry, 0 is in case we want an exact match. So that is the case with approximate and 0, approximate and exact matches.